Quan is probably the only nice person or truly nice person you find in the whole game. He has no ill intentions, or does he think badly of anyone or judge anyone. Mostly because he's made up. He is a manifestation of Jeremy's sort of ultimate friend. The way we wanted to show this sort of kindness and calm was by putting him in this sort of heavenly space, this very warm and nice place. He has his cozy clothes on. But of course, to show his wisdom, he also sits under a Bodhi tree, which many of you probably know is what the Buddha is said to have sat under when he reached enlightenment.
For Tarea, we wanted to portray a very calm and kind of heavenly mood. So we went for this really nice midday or a bit later, and we also decided to have these church windows that would help spreading the light and the thick atmosphere, so we get very dense air inside of the library. And I think it turned out really great. I hope you enjoy it as well.
The original game was often called the game without enough bullets, but it was not a wish, it was more a consequence. The player usually feels strong with the weapons, but I wanted him to understand that it is not the right solution and that he needs to find some clues which are more efficient.
Having a limited amount of bullets is something we certainly picked up on. But you know, sometimes you just want to give the player a Tommy gun and see what happens.
Gallatin Street is in direct contrast to the French Quarter level. In the French Quarter we had a lot of colors, nice materials, beautiful architecture and that kind of stuff. We went with a much more worn down look to the buildings. We have almost a desaturated overall mood, and you can almost taste the melancholy. For the showroom, we can talk about a few things. The first would be the theater-like scene. We wanted to portray or picture a real theater scene, so it isn't built in a factory. It should look pretty fake, and we also have the color scheme, which is inspired by The Dark Man. And the last reference we have the fresque in the background, which is depicting the dark sun from the next level. So that's a pretty nice foreshadow, I think.
Whoa.
Arriving from the showroom through the sarcophagus, we knew we wanted to show the player a very grand and epic vista, and we added this small plateau as an overlook, and as you can see it's a really vast and epic desert we have here, and the dark sun creating the long shadows and the twinkling specklers in the sand is, to me, it's a very nice view.
The desert level is sprung out of the text from Jeremy's diary in the original game, where he writes, while describing a dream, "The night is pitch black, I am again drenched in sweat. I was wandering in dunes among giant standing stones." It is one of the two other worlds that show extremes. Most of the scenery we've seen so far, except for a brief visit to Taroea, everything has been taking place in New Orleans or Louisiana. But here we are in the desert, ready to descend into the Dark Man's sunken temple, and we are introduced to the story of the pharaoh Neferenka.
How do I get to it?
For the temple, we explored, or actually we went with having tilted walls. So they would be narrower up top to create some kind of tension for the player, as well as it's a pretty nice symbolic design choice, because the shape of a pyramid as well. But we also have the large walls, which we filled with hieroglyphs inspired by the ancient Egyptians, and a direct reference to the Dark Man is the painted stone patina as well.
If you look at the statue of the Dark Man across the room, you can see his one hand making the gesture that Ruth makes when meeting Carnaby in the Maccabean. But most importantly, we find the same sign on the painting of Emily if you manage to unlock her cult ending. Of course, Emily then makes the same submission gesture to the Dark Man to join his fold, and that's how you trigger her cult ending. The sign is actually described in the original game in the text called Demonia Particularis, Signs and Rituals by Heinrich Kassel. And I remember as soon as I sort of read that, I was like, we're totally making something out of that.
Could it be real? Or is it all just in his head?
It's a story he tells himself, Mr. Carnby. Anything to avoid the truth.